Did you know your business can honor God while transforming lives around the world? Welcome to the iBAM Biblical Entrepreneurship Show, the weekly podcast that inspires and equips Christian entrepreneurs to build sustainable businesses that glorify God and uplift impoverished communities. At iBAM, our mission is built on the three fish metaphor. Give a fish. We provide startup loans to launch businesses. Teach to fish. We offer entrepreneur training for lasting growth, equipped for discipleship. We empower discipleship to multiply impact. Join iBAM's founder, Steve Adams, as he shares powerful solo episodes and expert interviews filled with mentorship insights and real-life stories of how biblical entrepreneurship is advancing the Great Commission. Subscribe now and get ready to be inspired, equipped, and empowered to make an eternal impact.
I'm really excited for everyone to hear John's story. John, welcome.
Good to be with everybody today.
Yeah, thank you, sir. John, I don't almost know where to start. You've had such a cool career. Maybe could you tell us first, just your faith journey? How did you come to know Christ?
Well, first of all, you have a cool career. I had to stop there for a second. In the middle of it, you just woke up every day hoping that you'd have another day.
Right.
And, so I guess when you can call it a career when you look back, but maybe not when you're in the middle of the battle. So that's so. Anyway,
well said.
I was, from a young kid interested in things spiritual to some extent, but it was in a small Bible church where the pastor on Easter said if you wanted to put your faith and trust in Jesus Christ for eternal life, just as the Philippian jailer asked Paul and Silas, "Sirs, what must I do to be saved?" And it was very simple: believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and you'll be saved. And as a little kid, I raised my hand and nothing happened. And then a couple Sundays later, the same invitation, and raised my hand a little higher. And then the pastor came to me and said, "Why? I saw you raise your hand 2 Sundays." Well, I just didn't know what I was supposed to do. I'm like 10 years old. 11.
Yeah, right.
And he said, "No, now that you're a believer in Jesus Christ, tell me how your life's been changed." And I froze. I said, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know things were supposed to change." So I said, "Well, I don't fight with my sister as much," and which probably was a lie. But
you were just trying to come up with something.
I had to come up. I had to come up with something. So that was the inauspicious long journey that's taken me down many roads, many missions, building churches and orphanages, and I just left a guy who's heading to Congo on Sunday night in the area where people are being throats slit, and it's a really tragic situation there. And so I have a heart for people who are doing anything. But the best mission field, I should say, is really in your own backyard, and even more than that, in your own home.
I agree. Well, but you illustrated, and in your own home, correct? Yeah. We were just sharing before we came on. I have a new granddaughter. I have a couple grandkids, and we pray every day for both of them, to come to Christ when the time is at hand. And
congratulations, that's a good thing.
It is.
You said you have two now, right?
Two, yeah. It's a wonderful thing, and it's also it highlights what we do matters because we can affect their lives if we make poor decisions. And so but I love your story because it is that simple. The gospel's that simple. It's not meant to be complicated. We profess faith and we are saved. So I appreciate you sharing that. So John, you where by the way, did you grow up in Missouri? Is that where you grew up?
Missouri, in St. Louis County, and still live in St. Louis County. Now there's a few stops along the way in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
But I'm still here, and the home I'm in right now, we've been here for now 41 years. So,
wow. Tell us about, you were in the military, right? So can you give us a kind of an overview of your military career? And then we'll get to the company you built.
Well, Steve, you keep talking about careers, but I tell you, in the middle of boot camp, like the third day, you wouldn't be thinking like a career at all.
No, you're trying to survive. Yeah.
Survival, that's right. So you can
it's kind of like football two-a-days for me.
You can say, "John, how was your survival going?" What did you do to survive? But it was an interesting time because this is near the winding down, if you want to call it, of the Vietnam War, and a lot of riots in the streets, and joining the military was not
Right.
something you do. A lot of people, either go to Canada or get a deferment, they go back to college, get your master's,
Hmm.
whatever they wanted to do. And I remember the recruiting station, there's about 30, 40 of us there. All these kids were drafted. And they said, well, how many are going to join the Marines? And this one kid raised her hand, me, and I was the dumbest person around, But anyway, and then when I opted for infantry, that captain signed me down really quick. Figured that, they were losing a lot of lieutenants over Vietnam, and may I be the next one to be gone. But when you're young, you're
You
out
don't
there
know.
for God and country, and feel it's the
Right.
right thing to do, and the Lord's leading you in this direction. And
Yep.
I can't imagine what my parents must have thought. I mean, my dad served in World War II. So, but right as we were finishing our training, they're pulling the guys off the embassy. So I never went into combat,
Okay.
but I
Yep.
did serve across the Mediterranean, East Coast, West Coast, platoon commander, and then a company executive officer, and then onto battalion staff. But re-up my time. It was an incredible experience, great learning experience, great people.
Hmm.
It's
How
I
many
can't
years, John? Was
about
it?
4 years in that, and and I was planning to really make it a career. I thought I found a real niche, and I loved everything about it.
Hmm.
Discipline, the camaraderie. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, in boot camp, they saw this skinny little kid, and the drill instructors tried to get me to quit. That had the option when you're in the officer program. In fact, I had four drill instructors on me trying to.
Oh, and you were in officer
Yeah,
training
well, the
school?
training, yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
wasn't an officer yet. I was just a candidate.
Yeah. Right.
These guys felt that they looked for the weakest and get rid of them. And we had about a 50% attrition. And
Wow.
but there's no way I was. I don't, there's some
Yeah.
fun stories, but I hung in there and I made it. And
Wow.
so maybe the moral of the story is I was not 6'2" eyes of blue former football player. I was a skinny little kid, and
Perseverance. Yeah. Yep.
perseverance, Steve.
Right.
At the end
It
of the
is.
day.
And it's the number one trait, like at iBAM that we look for in improving entrepreneurs around the world. So like our whole, and I don't want to get into this is about you, but the whole training thing is an obstacle course just to see if they'll go through it. Because if they quit, then they just weeded themselves out. And that's really what they were doing there. Football is the same way. I played football all the way through college. And I mean, they don't do this in college per se as much, but you get to the high school level and they are brutal because they're trying to get guys that are gonna stick with it. In college, they recruited you, you're on scholarship, they figure you're gonna make it. So, but it's similar. I think military is probably worse, but I would think
Well,
football players especially would do well in like OTS school because they've had that challenge.
well, I just read something the other day. Trying to find the right people and perseverance, and this one person who was very successful said that they always look for people who played sports,
Yeah.
high school, or
Yeah.
because they had to overcome a lot,
Yep.
they had to work a lot of self-discipline.
Yep.
And I didn't because I wasn't in sports. That wasn't my strength. I never knew that, but
Sure.
it's obvious from yourself and your story, Steve, and so many others that you're looking for somebody. Have they proven themselves? And I
Yeah.
think athletics is a great way
It's
to validate that.
I coached high school basketball with a legend in Michigan. He's in the Hall of Fame, and we won 3 consecutive state championships with
Wow.
him. Yeah, it was in 2009 to 12, and it was an amazing run. And yeah, he used to always tell the kids that the sports is an extension of the classroom and in life, and that you're finding out about your weaknesses in real time while 2,000 people sit in the stands and watch. And
Maybe it's the reverse. Maybe the classroom is an extension of
of
sports
sports,
in
sure,
life.
yeah.
Maybe there's more things to learn there on the playing field than there is in the classroom. So,
Well, I know for me that it was very translatable. The just the attention to detail and the perseverance and just overcoming your own mental state that goes up and down. That's natural for all humans. In the business world, for me, came right out of that. Especially for me, the collegiate experience. It was so competitive, but So let's talk about the transition now from the military. I won't use the word career no more. The survival of military to the survival of business. Talk about that transition, John, because you went into a family business that was very small at the time, right?
Well, my dad was very, let's see, he never pressured me, but you could
Hmm.
tell he wanted me to come back in. And I just finished a 6-month deployment in the Mediterranean. And, you have this sense of, there's a four-letter word that is not used a lot. It's called duty.
Mm,
People thought duty to the
especially now.
military, but you might
Yeah.
duty to your own family or duty to your neighbor, or duty to your church.
Yep.
Duty is it can be a tough word. And so I came back and didn't really know what I was getting into. Obviously grew up and hear the stories, but unfortunately, the place was such a disaster, broken down, fallen apart. Just the whole reason for that. My dad loved sales, so he was always on the road selling, but over the years, the whole inside of the business had really literally crumbled apart, broken down,
Wow.
broken windows, rats, mice,
Yep.
leaky roofs, leaky buckets. And then within 2 days, the Food and Drug Administration came in with regulatory letters to shut us down. And I thought,
Wow.
wow, this is a 1 week career,
Good
Steve.
start. Yeah.
Only 1 week, and I'll be gone. I hope they'll take me back.
Wow.
And it was just, I mean, you jump in and do everything. Taught myself to drive forklifts, work on the equipment, how to repair roofs, fix pipes.
Yeah. And you didn't have YouTube then.
No, no, you didn't have YouTube, and unlike in the military where you had great people to learn from,
Right.
the average age was about 71 or 72. Nice people, but I mean,
Right.
this literally had
No documentation, no
oh,
SOPs.
no
Yeah.
SOPs,
Yeah. Right.
nothing. In fact, you look around, we still had a phone system. If you've seen the 1930 movies where they have the jacks in
Yeah, I do.
it's like you have on,
Yeah.
plug it in and out. I said, we got to get a new phone system. And when the major phone company at the time came in, they said, "What are you going to do with this?" It's they fit like the whole wall. And I said, "I don't know, throw it out." I said, "This is the only one working west of the Mississippi River. We like this for a museum."
Yeah. Wow.
You,
Wow.
you, you duplicate whether it's a phone or a piece of equipment or a forklift truck or I mean, and you just roll up your sleeves and you work hard and you pray a lot.
Yeah.
You turn
Right.
back. Sometimes the book of Psalms, you just open it up. Lord, keep me stable, keep me focused. And people,
Yes.
John, why do you stay in this business? You don't have to do this stuff. And as mentioned, the word duty, but I also feel that do things drive you closer to the Word of
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
or do they cause those distractions and get you out? And I said, well, this business is so tough as it drives me to prayer,
I have
drives
no
me on
other
me,
option. Yeah.
drives me on the Word. So I said, it must be good because
Yeah.
at least I'm heading the right way in terms of looking to God for help.
I was talking to a guy in Seattle one time. He was a very successful real estate developer, and he said business discipled him every day
Mhm.
because I'm not saying anything bad about people that go build a career and have a guaranteed paycheck and do that because there's still stress in those careers too. But I know for me, it's like business makes me totally reliant on the Lord because so much is out of our control. So much of it. I mean, I have a store in Florida that Whole Foods could open right across the street and I'm done. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? So, yeah. So it sounds like the business needed exactly what you had, and that was discipline and organized thinking. You know what? For the audience, tell us what the business was and kind of what it became.
Well, our business was private label personal care products.
Yep.
So basically, today 400 or 500 items, but shampoo, mouthwash, rubbing alcohol, peroxide, hair care products,
Body
uh,
wash, all that.
all that, all under the store label. So Walgreens brand, Equate brand,
Yep.
Equate or CVS, all with their store label. So if you go today and you buy a bottle of peroxide, rubbing alcohol, or Walgreens brand mouthwash, that was most
Yeah.
likely made in our company here.
Okay.
Uh,
Wow.
but at the time, we were the smallest in the industry, and making really no money, and the equipment had all depreciated.
Yep.
So Steve, you say, Steve, looks like I was the right guy at the right time.
You had nothing,
sometimes
man.
you just gotta, you're better not knowing what you're doing than thinking you know what you're
Yeah,
doing.
man, that
Because you
is
know you can
true.
just overcome, you're not smart enough to know that you can't do it, you know?
I will echo that because I will tell you, looking back on my 30-year entrepreneur career, if I knew what I was going to face when I jumped into it, I'd just stayed a banker. I would have stayed right there, right? Because I was making a lot of money and very comfortable,
Well,
but
Steve, you would have had a full head of
I
hair and,
would have.
you
I
know, my
know.
gosh, it was great, man.
Yeah, but it didn't bother you. You must be more spiritual than me.
Oh, no, man. It's spread it around just like Donald
Wow.
Trump.
So what was John, what was so was that right around 1977, 78,
Right.
that era? So fast forward 5 years, you probably have some traction now. What were some of the keys for you? How did you get out of that place of, decrepit equipment, no SOPs? It takes capital, it takes earnings, it takes momentum. How did you create that? Now, you don't have to qualify it with the Lord helped you. We all understand that. We're all here on a spiritual related interview. Just talk about that because I think it would really encourage people that are listening, that are there.
Steve, I wish it was I wish I had such a thoughtful, strategic approach, but
Don't worry.
you really don't. But, I knew in the middle of this, I said, I don't know this business. I mean, I heard, growing up with it, the
Yep.
vocabulary, but how, I got to make it right, and I got to put this together and survive. What do I do? I said, well, there's three ways. I figured, time in the job.
Yep.
After 10, 15 years, you kind of know what's going on. Well, I didn't have time.
Right.
The other thing is to read and study everything you possibly could. I subscribed to every trade magazine, books, courses. I took over a couple hundred courses but even that,
Right.
you can't do that.
Takes time.
It takes time. But
Yep.
the third thing is, I said, I wonder if there are people who are in our related industry, retired people. And I
Yep.
get tapping with
Mentors.
some of their
Yeah.
experiences.
Yep.
And my father-in-law, while he was in a different area, a much bigger, obviously Procter and Gamble, he knew a couple other people who knew a couple of people. So I had 4 or 5 retired gentlemen that would come by. They were tired of making birdhouses and doing stuff around the house.
And their
And
wife wanted them out. Yeah.
and it was fantastic because, they weren't a threat to anybody because they were retired. I
Yep.
could tap on their experiences.
Yep.
We had they love sharing their ideas. I love picking their brains. And Steve, one of the earliest ones, I
You had
remember.
a board of directors right there.
Well, yeah,
Yep.
that was another story, but no, but it was a the guy would say, you're putting all these mouthwash bottles in boxes. He said, why do the lids touch when you close the lids? Well, they always touch when you close the lids. You get something from Amazon today. What lid?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know. He said, what if they just, if you left an inch there, would the bottles fall off if you tipped the? No, they wouldn't fall out. I mean, he said, why don't you leave an inch of corrugated? Well, that first year, on all of our boxes, saved us $17,000
Oh, wow. Yep.
just by not touch. Today, it's over 500,000,
Yep.
and but hundreds of little ideas from
Yep.
people who've already been down the road.
Yep.
And so that was probably the key element to really, do a lot of listening and
Yep.
with some wonderful, wonderful mentors.
Right. But you had to implement, and you did because
Well,
their advice is worthless if you don't do it.
well, Steve, you know that too. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a book years later that I bought. It's not called implementation. It's called, I don't know, something on
Execution.
execution,
Yeah.
right?
By Larry Bossidy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, good.
I love that book. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I had everybody, well, I gave it to all our managers. I don't know how many read it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
that book, Steve, it is.
I used
Premier
that
book.
book when we had 2 stores when I read that book, and we had 47 like 7 years later. So
Wow.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you
So
you throw out my dad's favorite verse in the Bible was in James chapter 2, faith without works is dead. Now that's 90% mistranslated, but
right.
what it really means, in my opinion, is your core beliefs, if not implemented, is worthless.
Right. It should show up in fruit.
It should show up in action somewhere.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you have these business ideas. It's a matter of implementing and executing those ideas.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So, John, talk about your family. Do you have kids and grandkids and all of that? Because I'm weaving in a question here. That's
Well,
why.
sure, of course. Yeah, yeah. My wife and I have been married 50 years next June.
Wow.
And
Congratulations.
well,
That's amazing in this era.
oh, I mean, well, it really is. I mean, I know how she sort of, handled me all this time, but she did. Fortunate, I'm blessed. And we have three children. Well, our biggest surprise is 15 grandchildren,
Wow.
and
That's a
ages
ton.
about 4 months to 18.
Yep.
And just as your wife's real happy having grandkids across the street, well, my wife is happy as can be. They're not across the street yet. Will be in the future,
Yep.
but that's really
Are they all in St. Louis County or near
no,
you?
about two-thirds are there and one-third's in Florida, near Jacksonville area,
Okay, good. So you get to see them both based on where you're spending time.
where I'm spending time, right?
Yeah,
But
because you do both, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now we had I can't remember 4 or 5 over there for 4 days at the house. And oh boy, I just watched my wife. She is so good handling all those grandkids.
Yeah. It's exhausting though, isn't it? We have our grandson for 3 solid days right now
Uh-huh.
because my daughter's recovering. Just for the audience, we had a
Right.
granddaughter yesterday. Oh man, we were exhausted when we went to bed last night because you're not used to chasing a 2.5-year-old.
It's for young people.
Yes,
Steve, only a guy can say solid days, 3 solid days. Now
I know.
we say we had it for 3 days. It was wonderful. But the grandfather, solid days.
Solid days, right?
Man, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
solid days.
So let me ask you this, where I'm going with the family question. Thanks for sharing that. Is okay, so from like that mid 70s to the mid 80s, were probably the toughest 10 years of all the years you had that company. Not to mention, yeah, I'm sure you had some trials elsewhere, but like just that survival mode first 10 years. And you're starting to have your kids then, right?
We are, and
Yeah,
my gosh, let's see. Well, it started the first one a couple of years after I got out of the Marine Corps and started working. And so my wife is with these three little kids, and I'm with a struggling business.
right,
And there's no trajectory. It's riding the roller coasters up and down. I've been
right.
upside down a couple times. So
How did your faith help you, John, through that? And, just to still invest in your wife, still invest in your children while your mind is nonstop trying to solve this problem.
Steve, that's a good question. I don't know if there's a formula at all. I
No,
mean,
just how you did it. Yeah,
well, you pray for wisdom and discernment.
yeah,
We're up against the biggest competitors in the world. I'm multi-billion-dollar people
right.
serving multi-billion-dollar customers, and we're just a little speck on the fly screen of life out there. I mean, a
Yep,
mosquito zipping around as far as that concerned, and we could have been swatted off easily. And so you do you pray. I think my inspiration, as I said earlier, in the book of Psalms,
yeah,
David, all kinds
yep,
of trials and issues, and you hope to be inspired with that and
yep,
keeping the word, going to church. Church was very important for our family and our kids, and made that as a priority. I really didn't have any. There's no time for a hobby, so it was really
right.
the business, the family, and church, and that
That's
was
it.
it.
Yeah,
And I don't have any regrets. I mean, now people ask me, "Well, do you have any hobbies?" I said, "I never picked one up."
I never did either. I know.
I wish I did. I can swing a golf club, but I'll never break 100.
No,
But I think I just have a set of golf clubs just so I can tell people that I play golf, so they don't look too weird.
I played when I was a banker and I got down to about a 15 handicap. And
Whoa, that's
then
good.
I started a business and I didn't pick them up for 23 years. And then when we lived in Washington, D.C., I bought some again and started to play. And my first time out, I shot a 127. And
Well,
I
Steve,
counted every stroke. I was honest. And
well, you're part of my club, man. That's good.
yeah, it was awful. And I got down to like, I can break 100 once in a while, but it's not worth it to me anymore to put the
Mhm.
time into it. But I know what you mean. What I love that you brought out though, Psalms and Proverbs. I heard a guy. He's a Jewish believer pastor. Okay, trying to think how to say that right. And he has something called the BEMA podcast, BEMA,
Mhm.
and he talks about Psalms and Proverbs as tools that God gave us for life. And I'm with you. That was the two things. I needed help emotionally managing all the stress, and that's where the Psalms were, and the Proverbs helped me make decisions and guide my life. It sounds like you found that same inspiration from them.
Sure, a lot of times it's just trying to get yourself stabilized. It's like if you're
Yes.
a trip and you want to hold on to something to
Yep.
keep yourself from falling over.
Right.
I think those things are stabilizing influences. They're not necessarily uh, fundamental, foundational issues of getting into more scripture.
Right.
But a lot
Right.
of times when you're bouncing around, like in a storm, you just want something to hold on to keep you standing up, and that's what those
Yeah.
Psalms and Proverbs really do. So,
Well, and what we're talking about here is a life as a believer, as an entrepreneur. It's um, no different than people who aren't. I mean, we have the same problems and challenges, but God has given us these tools to help us navigate and get through. And I agree, we need to know the meta narrative of Scripture, and we need to know theology and be able to apply it to our lives. That's why we have to read the whole of Scripture. But I'm like you. I have Psalm 16 memorized because for years and years that psalm just stabilized me because I knew that that's where I go to be safe. I know I have nothing good apart from the Lord, that my sorrows will increase if I chase other gods. And I have this delightful inheritance. So I just got to remember all that in the midst of the storm.
well, it's kind of like going back to those retired guys who've gone through things before, and I thought I wanted to learn from their experiences, so I don't have
Yeah.
to learn them on my own. And I think that's where some of these principles in the Bible are, is I can learn them on my own. You go down, Lord is very gracious to let you wander down these paths, or maybe you can pick up some of these ideas
Right.
right now and avoid some of those disasters or pitfalls. And so it's kind of a very practical approach as well.
Question for you. As think of the term excellence in business, meaning, just your level of standards that you expect, the business to operate at, the product to present, the behavior of people. How can that speak to your faith when people see you as the leader of your company and your company is excellent?
Well, Steve, that's a compelling question. I mean the verse, "Do all things as unto the Lord,"
Yeah.
at the end of the
Colossians
day,
3. Yep. Yep.
right? I mean, and uh, you have to set a standard, and who you are as a reflection, not just of yourself, but of your beliefs and
Yeah.
your faith in Jesus Christ. Uh, but I think uh, keeping those standards and trying to be consistent on those standards, we all fall, we all mess up. I
Yep.
mean, from time to time, kind of a thing. But I think we owe it not just to ourselves and to our core beliefs and our God, but also to the associates and the employees as well. I mean, definition of a leader, you kind of have to set the tone,
Hmm.
and you know, people will follow. The company will only very few. I don't think of any company can go beyond the standards that are set by the leader in that business. And
Right.
if you compromise, they'll compromise. If you don't,
Yeah.
they won't. I mean, and you've got to be practical about it from the standpoint of, okay, these are achievable. Some of these things are of excellence are aspirational.
Yep.
This is where we're heading. We can't necessarily make it all in one day. I'm not talking about integrity or lying or cheating, but I'm talking about how we do things and how we do them better and how we improve ourselves to do better. And I even looked at that from the regulatory side. People say, well, the Food and Drug Administration, which is our and OSHA and some of these other
Yep.
organizations, they said, hey, we need to put our best faith, good faith effort into all of these issues. We may disagree, they may not make sense, but they are what they are.
Right.
And let's follow the standard. And, we got through without any citations or anything on
Wow.
a zero
And
basis from that. And it's good business too. I mean,
it's good business.
quality
Yeah.
quality is a good business, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Well, yeah, and it's biblical. Like, I don't know about you. Like, I've read, I'm a reader. For 30 years, I read 100 books a year.
Wow.
I don't read that many now. I've kind of cooled off on all of that because it's, a lot of it looks the same, just repackaged.
Right, exactly.
I remember a year ago you shared with me a Harvard Business Review article that had such wisdom in it, and then I see other people trying to repackage that idea in marketing books. But anyway, now I just lost my train of thought where I was going.
Well, you were talking about quality and excellence and setting the standard and moving forward. And
Yeah, well, I know what it was. It's the idea that original, yeah, all the best stuff that we see in business really is rooted in Scripture. That was what I wanted to hear you talk about a little bit. Do you agree with that comment?
well, I mean, I guess there's certain principles of
Principles,
character
yeah,
and
right.
value and honesty. I learned this in the Marine Corps. You take care of your people, they take
Yep,
care of the mission. You take care of your employees and your associates, they'll take care of the company. I would say that the beginning words I would tell all of our associates over and over again is I care, you care, we care for each other. If someone may be having a bad day, you can help
yep.
them out because someday you're going to have a bad day. And I
Mm,
said, in terms of trying to earn the respect, you don't expect it to come back. You have to earn the respect. You got to prove it. You got to
right.
show that you're going to be there,
Yep,
and particularly in the tough times. So all of these fundamentals, there's plenty of examples in the Bible
yep,
of standing firm and holding on to these core principles. Sometimes you may lose an account, you may lose some business. You may have to ask some people to leave because they didn't follow those standards. But uh, I always wonder when we're so fragile at the very beginning, and I see some of our competitors who did not necessarily follow what I say the highest levels of ethics or integrity.
sure.
I said, I wonder if you can survive doing the right thing the right way. I mean, you sometimes wonder because all these other people
Yeah,
are
right. You
successful.
see them thriving when,
Right.
yeah, it's like Psalm 77 talks about that, I think.
Well, Steve, you know the scriptures better than I do on that, but
No, well, I just happened to read it the other day. It was the whole idea the psalmist was saying, I see people that are wicked
oh,
prospering all around me.
right.
And
Yeah.
then the person was like, why am I doing this? And then he comes back and goes, but I will praise the Lord. Yeah.
And I think what if you start out with the word persistence, tenacity? You
Yep.
just, you say, you just keep going forward, doing on the path that you believe is the right path to take. And,
Yeah.
obviously in our situation, it turned out, it worked
Yeah.
out well.
Yeah.
We
Were you
became,
in most major grocery and like Walmart, Target, those type of chains in the US?
we're in a good portion of them, a
Yep.
couple categories over the years. But as time went on, we ended up in every major retailer and
Yep.
most of our products, and we became the vendor of the year for Kroger, vendor of the year
Wow.
for Walmart in our category, and we ended up
Wow.
becoming the largest in our category in the industry, where we were at the very bottom.
Yeah.
Like I said, upside down a couple of times, may not have made it. Only the Lord knows whether we had a week left or a few days left
Yep.
because we were overextended and
Yep.
you know
I've been there. I
bring
know that feeling, man.
yeah, you bring in the wrong people and you defer
Yep.
to the smart people in the room and they take you right down the drain and then oh my gosh. But uh, you know, I'm as I look back, I'm more shocked that we survived. And sometimes when you're in the middle of the battle, you just keep pushing on.
Yeah, you
But
have no time to think about that. You just get through it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
well,
I know you're a humble guy, but I wanted to draw that out so the audience knew. I mean, you were a scaled organization, and you did it biblically, and that means it's possible, and that you can do really well and do it right. That's the message I wanted to come out of this. And what would you say to somebody? They're 30 years old or they're 45 and they're wanting to do it the right way and follow Christ and build a kingdom business for whatever that looks like in their life. I mean, what are some of the things that come to mind? And John, in fairness to you, you weren't prepared for that question, so I know it's a big
oh,
question.
no, in fact, I told you earlier, Steve, for your audience here, I said I don't need any advanced questions. Let's just have a conversation, and
Yeah,
I think that
right.
works better. But the critical thing is who do you surround yourself with? And I would tell my kids when they're younger, I said, it doesn't matter what your career is, it matters who you're working with or working
Right.
for.
Yep.
And it's very critical, especially as a small business. Who are the people that you're hiring, and what kind of people are they?
Yeah.
And how do you determine whether they have the integrity or not, and the standards they have? And when you're a small business, I mean, you can't afford to have a couple people messing up
Right.
because you don't have the bandwidth or the capacity.
Right.
And so to me, finding the right people with the right values, and if they didn't have that, tell them maybe there's another place for you. Now they may have all the talent in the world, just the experience that you need. They're brilliant at what they have, but if they don't have the right values and the
Right.
right integrity,
Right.
so that's the most important. Who do you surround yourself with in your business?
Hmm.
And the same thing with your suppliers, there's some suppliers or may not be operating at the highest level of integrity. So finding good quality people
Yeah.
around
Yep.
and then pray and say, Lord, I, I'm going to do the right thing the right way. Would you give me the time and the clock and the million
Yes.
feet or whatever it is to keep me
It's
going
a
to make
great
this
prayer. Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
because other, like you said earlier in that psalm, other people are doing the wrong thing and they're passing you
They're
by.
prospering. Yeah.
I've lost some business,
Yeah.
because people didn't do the right thing. Take it away from me.
Yeah. Well, I was a retailer, and I had the honor. I remember reading David Green's story, the founder of Hobby Lobby, and when he was at 11 stores, in retail, we joke you can have more store than money, meaning you grow too fast and and
Mhm.
and you
Oh
get
yeah.
overextended. And because these stores don't make money fast, it takes time for people to build the habit of shopping at that store, typically. And he was so extended that he got under his desk, crawled under his desk, and prayed out to God for like hours. And I never forgot that. And I got to that point one time. I never forget it. In 1998, I only had 2 stores, and I was there underneath my desk praying. And I had a chance to have dinner with him in his house.
Mm.
Um, and I told him that story, and he was so incredibly kind and humble, and he teared up because he remembered his own story and how that encouraged him to have somebody else get encouraged by that. And I just want to tell you that you coming on here has done the same thing, and for a lot of people that you'll never meet. And I just want to thank you for that.
Well, Steve, we all have these stories. I was upside down to our last dollar, over leveraged payables are up 90 days.
Oh
Our
man.
sub debt was there. People writing it off, ready to
Yep.
shut us down.
And you feel dirty, don't you? You just feel like
uh,
this horrible person.
well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's horrible, but as much as I'm feeling, I've
Let.
letting my associates down. I mean,
Yeah. Right.
letting these people down, letting our vendors down, suppliers
Yep.
down. And that's another whole story of how this happened, how the whole turnaround happened here. But everybody got paid. No one ever lost an hour of work,
Wow.
and all of our suppliers stayed with us but one. And but it only taken a couple to cause the whole thing to
Oh
unravel.
yeah. Right. Yep.
So you understand that. And
Yeah.
Steve,
Yeah.
I would always say too, I had the second hardest job that I know of, I'm aware of.
Oh, I know where you're going with
As a
this.
supplier,
Yeah.
retailer, the hardest job is the retailer. Anyway,
Oh,
and
it's tough.
anybody
Yeah.
on the front end with a daily customer base and trying to meet the needs of the consumer, that's a tough job. So,
Yeah. Well,
but
we grew and scaled off a biblical model of discipleship, which is for another time story,
Mhm,
but we had purpose, we had a path to mastery. This I'm using the phraseology from a secular researcher, Daniel Pink,
mhm,
in a
yeah,
book called Drive. But when you look at it, purpose and mastery and empowerment really was how Jesus discipled people. He gave them a great purpose. He came alongside them and trained them, and then he sent them out. And we just used that same model and multiplied leaders throughout our company. And that's when we took off.
Steve, I think more people need to listen to you than me
Oh,
because
no, 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 no.
no, because listen, I got some stories, but you've been able to fundamentally break these pieces down and communicate it for those who are
That's
listening.
sure.
It's really important. It's how do you translate these stories into actionable
Right.
pieces? And,
Yep.
and you've had that unique talent and ability to do
Yeah,
so.
I appreciate it. I think that's kind of why I'm in the role I'm in,
Yeah.
starting iBAM. Um, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
So that's good. So if anybody wants to know more, call Steve.
Yeah, John. Well, talk about, so now you're not retired, but you're retired from the company that you spent your life building. As you got to the end and you sold and you transitioned out of that, what were the biggest surprises or challenges for you, just from a stewardship standpoint, with something like where you ended up when you couldn't even pay your payables 30 years earlier? Like, what was that like?
Well, it's interesting. I guess I've always, on a very personal level, intrinsically felt that I really didn't have the personality, the background, the skill sets to be in business to begin with.
Okay. Yeah.
In fact, some people do these psychological testing, or what are some of those
Yeah. Assessment,
assessment, or
self-assessments.
you're
Yep.
in these different quadrants and all that
Oh
kind of stuff,
yeah. Right. Yep. Yep.
Myers-Briggs and all that stuff.
Myers-Briggs. There's
You know,
50 of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in the lowest 5 percentile. I should have been a musician or something like that. I don't know what I was supposed to be. I'm not a musician, but anyway.
This is,
So I
don't
was
believe
so
any of this, people
no,
that are
no,
listening.
no, because I'm not one of these outgoing hard charger CEO types. I
Sure.
just
Sure.
cared about people. We all were
Yep.
here. We're working together. Fortunately, I had some wonderful people that we all came together. I would say we're just a bunch of ordinary people working together to create some extraordinary opportunities
Yep.
together. And so, you know, in a sense, I'm going back to the red road. I felt it was a duty to come in and a
Yep.
duty to do. And I said, now, how is this business going to continue to sustain when I'm gone? And
Yep.
so I was able to find that kind of opportunity to do that, so that, because sometimes these businesses, they go forward with the entrepreneurs, and when the entrepreneur's gone, they just,
Right. Yep.
what is a continuing model on that, so it could continue to go forward. And then I also felt that over the years that, I've always wanted to get involved, and to some level always was, in the political side.
Yep. Right.
And so I felt that maybe that was a good segue. You take all these decades of experience in your
Experience.
business and you bring them into the political realm, where you really don't find a lot of talented people, as we'd say in politics today, with a lifetime of experiences and
I
situations.
know. Well, those people aren't running. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're not running, and frankly, they could be boring candidates too, as opposed to the razzle dazzle type who are really
Right.
good
Yeah.
showmen.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but I was a bit idealistic, thinking I'm not idealistic in the fact that what I could do in these particular roles, but I ran for office twice, and obviously, when you come in second place,
Winner take all. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. In your business, you can the different categories on a retailer.
Yeah. You can have number two
I
market
lose that
share and
one.
make money. Yeah.
Yeah, I gained that one, but I lost this one. I can come back in next month and give a better
Right.
price.
Yeah.
The whole idea of this flowing system, but there's nothing like election night and losing.
I've never done it. I can't imagine.
No.
I met one of your friends in the Senate not long ago, and I'll leave his name out of this. But he's a businessman like you, and he managed to break through and get elected. And you can see how that level of skill set can really play on Capitol Hill. Like he's powerfully, he's a powerful intellect guy.
Well, he's very rare. He came to help me when I first ran for office. He had just been in for a couple of years, and he says, "I'm the only business guy here. I could use help."
Yeah, yeah, I know.
And in many ways, it's been a decade or more, and I still feel I let him down by not being there. But he's doing a fantastic job.
Sure.
And so you basically you want to pass along the experiences and things that you've learned.
Yeah.
And that's what your format here, Steve, is saying, is that if there's things some younger entrepreneurs, and of course everybody's younger than me now, but younger entrepreneurs can learn, and lessons learned that they don't have to go through some of these winding roads or dead ends, can do. And so I felt that was the area, but politics. But the whole time I've always been involved in Christian missions and different organizations, helping wounded warriors, loving educational issues. And like I said, just before I got on, I was meeting with a guy who's head of the he's a business guy. He's in the insurance industry, but he has a passion to help in this area.
What are you doing in Congo? Are you doing like orphanages, or what kind of work are you guys doing?
I just met this person.
Oh, okay.
And he just it was a long story, but basically he's one of the roughest areas. Uh, and he's going in where people they're getting their throats slit and
Oh
everything.
my
He's trying
gosh.
to get things organized. He's showing some videos. I mean, oh, it's just horrible. And he's from a nice suburb area of St. Louis, nice
Yep.
family insurance industry. And
Yep.
oh my gosh, you know, but about a year ago, I started this thing called the London Bible Academy here to teach indigenous pastors in Africa
Okay,
and
great.
Europe. We're putting a curriculum together. We're bringing in
Yep.
a talented person in executive education. I've been involved with a more evangelistic mission group, yeah, with Grace Evangelistic Ministries. We're just going out and doing 1, 2, 3 day meetings and crusades involved there, and then also with the Wounded Warriors, wonderful organization. I used to
Yeah.
support a number of Wounded Warrior organizations, but I felt without the gospel of Jesus Christ, you're just putting,
Yeah.
Band-Aid.
Yeah. Right.
They're good. These are all good organizations. They're all helping. I
Yep.
mean,
Right.
I'm not gonna knock them down, but if you can line yourself up with an organization that's helping the Wounded Warriors and giving them the gospel of Jesus Christ, making a difference for all eternity, as well as
That's
now.
huge.
And this guy's been doing this out of a wheelchair for 20 years. He's been
Is
fit a
that is
lot.
that the wounded warrior that we see on TV? They're sharing the
No,
gospel.
no, that's another
Okay.
guy.
All
Yeah,
right.
but that's a good person too. So,
Yeah.
anyway, so I got to find a way to narrow my focus here. Steve. I'm driving myself crazy.
Yeah. You're retired, but you're not. Yeah.
Oh
You're
my
doing lots of
gosh.
things. Yeah.
No, no, too much. And I've written this book called Gospel on Point. It's in my fourth edition now here.
Oh, wow. So
Really
the
zeroing in
gospel
on
on point. Can you get it
the
on Amazon?
no, I should, but I spent 9 years.
How do people get it?
I don't, well, they can do a gospelandpoint.com. I'll
Okay.
send
All
you a free
right.
copy, send you a book. But
Okay.
the whole theory on this one, and I've been working for 9 years, and this is my fourth write on it. It's been a textbook that's being used. I'm going to going to be used to teach 1,500 counselors at a camp that takes 20,000 kids, Christian kids, a
Wow.
year.
Yep.
And everybody gets hung up on something, Steve. We all have our own unique passion. And
Yep.
my
Right.
wife, she said, John, nobody will ever read it, and she was right. So,
All right.
but the whole thing on this is ground zero in the spiritual warfare is the gospel message.
Yes. Yeah.
If Satan's in the red zone and you're trying to get the ball across the line,
Right.
he wants to stop that message, that clear message.
Yep.
And so basically, I had this book here that can really be said earlier, like I said, sirs, what must I do to be saved? Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. And basically, so many things are added to it. Things are distracted from it. Desire to be a follower of Jesus. Raise your hand, walk an aisle, give to church, promise.
Yeah.
1,000 things surround this message that cause people to pull back and say, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
Because it's not a clear message. So my feeling, and I dedicate it to your point earlier, in the front cover, inside cover to my 14, now the next edition, 15 grandkids.
Yep.
And the message on the inside says, this is in Psalms, back to your area, Psalm 71:18. Even when I'm old and gray, do not forsake me, my God, till I declare your power to the next generation, your mighty acts to all who are to come.
That's what you're doing.
So I hope, from
Yeah.
that standpoint. Now, I mean, these kids are young, and they'll all have a copy. I'm gone. They all have a copy now. But anyway,
And that's called the gospel on
the
point.
gospel on point, sharpening the sword.
All right. So the gospelonpoint.com, the gospelonpoint.com. And I just want to make sure I said that. I want the editor to get that into the show notes so that people know how to find you.
Well, that'd be good. I don't know. I have a website. We really haven't had anybody asking for it.
So, hey, the people that want it will get to you somehow.
Well, only takes a couple. I'm
right.
because I'm waiting for Franklin Graham to give you a call and say, John, thanks for sending me that book.
Well, John, what I love about this, and I'll wrap it up here, is you're not stopping. You're finishing strong. You're following hard after the Lord. Yeah, you're busier maybe than you want to be. Maybe you got too many things going. But it's so much better than the alternative of you're living for self and doing nothing. And so, which tells me your faith is strong and vibrant, because it goes back to what your dad said, faith without works is dead. Your love of Christ compels you to keep going. So thank you. It's a great example.
Well, Steve, you say faith is strong. I think I do still struggle every day, every challenge. Situations come, exigencies come in there to test you.
Right.
So it's not unlike my business where you get up every day and says, Lord, I want to survive another day.
Right.
I wish could say I'm a spiritual, mature person who hasn't nailed, I don't think it'll ever happen. And
that's Philippians 3 when Paul said that, not that I've already achieved it, but I press on, right?
Well, the thing I love about that verse, he says, this one thing I've learned, that prefaces that. And if a guy like Paul starts to say this one thing,
you better listen.
A business executive, he says, this one thing I've learned in business. Everyone's going to take notes.
Yeah.
Listen, I forget beyond the past and push on. And forgetting the past is also forgetting the good things as well as the bad things.
Yeah. Right.
Whatever was in the past. And I think since Charlie Kirk got this award today from
President Trump.
Trump, someone asked Charlie Kirk, what was his 2 favorite verses in the Bible? And he said, well, one's not a verse and the other is. And he said, the one thing I've learned, these 2 things I've learned, he said, this too will pass. He says, not necessarily the bad issues and illnesses or sickness will pass, but the good times. So if you're in the middle of something good time in your life, that's going to pass. If you're in a tough time in your life, that will pass. These will all pass. And to your point, finish strong. And then, of course, we all know Charlie Kirk said, my favorite verse is Romans 8:28. All things work together for good for those who love God and call according to his purpose. So if you take that perspective, that we're all moving down, we're aspirationally will finish strong. We're looking to other people to encourage us, and never be discouraged when you stumble and fall, because I don't care what persona people tend to present when they're out there being that great dynamic leader. Most people are just struggling every day, just like you and me, Steve. And anybody who's watching and listening, don't be discouraged. Just get up another day.
Yep. Don't put us up on a pedestal. Look at Christ, not us.
Right. Keep your eyes on the Lord, and the great hymn written by a blind lady, So keep your eyes on Jesus.
Yeah. And John, thanks for joining the Kingdom Impact Summit.
Well, and I have a poem.
Sure.
And the line on that, I'm not going to read the whole poem, but my grandfather told me, I thought it was just a sentence, but it's a whole poem. It's called, I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. And it's a great poem. Have your readers look that up. I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. And from that standpoint, put your faith into action, and a lot less talk and a lot more action will do the job.
Wow. Thank you for being on the summit, John. Thank you.
Good to be with you guys.
Yeah.
Good to be with everybody. And keep pushing on. Never give in, never give up.
Thank you for listening to the International Business as Mission podcast, a space where we explore how to build businesses rooted in biblical principles that create global impact. But we're not just here to talk. We're taking action to spread entrepreneurship to poverty-stricken communities around the world. Our mission is to be the catalyst that empowers people to build sustainable livelihoods and break the cycle of poverty. We follow the 3 fish principle. 1, give a fish, providing startup loans to empower entrepreneurs. 2, teach to fish, offering entrepreneurial training for sustainable business practices. And 3, equip for disciple making, building a community that supports spiritual growth alongside business success. This is life-changing work, but we can't do it alone. We need passionate impact partners like you to join us on this mission by becoming a donor. Your generous gift will directly fund the establishment of new businesses that provide dignified work and hope. Just imagine your donation could help a single mother in rural Africa start a small farming venture that allows her to feed her children and send them to school, or a young man in Southeast Asia to launch a small business. Breaking the chains of generational poverty. This is the power of entrepreneurship as a force for good. Will you join us in unleashing it? Go to ibam.org now to start impacting lives through the transformative power of business as mission. Together we can create a world of flourishing.